everyone, my name's Christina and welcome to my channel. It's time for truth. Got some little business cards made up. Super happy with the way they turned out and I plan on handing them out. So, welcome to my channel. Today is Monday, a fresh new week, and we'll start out with a moment of positivity. So when I was recovering from the surgeries this past year, cancer surgeries, I started watching some YouTube videos, and one of them was about hiking on the Appalachian Trail. And I started following some people that were doing that, and then I found this book and I purchased it and I read it. It's an excellent book, and I highly recommend it. But I would like to read today, the book is For Jennifer, written by Ben Montgomery. And this is on the inside page, and it says, "We do not go into the woods to rough it. We go to smooth it. We get it rough enough at home." George Washington Sears. And another quote by Henry David Thoreau, "Now or never." And Emma Gatewood herself, "I get faster as I get older." And I love that. So again, that's Grandma Gatewood's walk. And it's an amazing story about perseverance, about deciding to do something and then going forward and doing it. However we can, with whatever way we can. If we are determined, we will find a way. And that goes for, you know, the good things that we seek, and also, you know, those that distract us from the path we should be on. So something that I'm going to talk about today is I have some doctor's appointments coming up this week. I had one last week also that I've had time to reflect on, and that was an oncology appointment. So I drove 3 hours round trip for the oncology appointment, and I had already seen an oncologist at that another healthcare system in the process in between the first and second surgeries. So I had been assigned an oncologist. I was told to go there. I did. It was a nothing appointment, and then that practice ghosted me after marking me as a no-show to another appointment. That'll be a whole other episode, but at any rate, I'm going to stay on track with just the absolute path it has been just to get healthcare in this area. So I saw the oncologist last week, and this week I'll see the surgeon, the breast surgeon, at the same healthcare system that's 3 hours away. And this should be the final appointment with that doctor, the breast surgeon. Although I do have some chronic conditions with lymphedema that I'm managing once I get another issue resolved, which is another doctor's appointment this week. So I'll take the scans for that. And so without being like all covert and whatever, I guess just the basic way of saying it is, after a double mastectomy, I went in for the second surgery, which was a lymph node dissection, and I was injured in the pre-op area of before that appointment, and it was such a weird situation where I know that I have veins that are hard to get for IV or for a blood draw. So I've been told by medical personnel to let other medical personnel know that I have small veins and to use the baby needle. So that's what I do, and usually it's well received. And so anyways, in the pre-op area before my second surgery, I had both the pre-op nurses looking at my arm, and they decided that they should have the IV OR nurse specialist come and do the IV. I thought, that's perfect, thank you so much. And from where I was on the gurney looking out, I could see the two pre-op nurses, and my husband was sitting over to my right. And I don't watch when IVs happen. I just don't even want to know, or even when a blood draw, because it's also like bad. So the ORIV nurse specialist, somebody arrived at least, because I could see the nurses' faces as this person was talking to them, and both their faces, the smiles went away. I don't know what happened, but the whole atmosphere changed. And then as I looked over, I saw this person arrive that was completely, I could not describe the person. The person was completely masked up, head to toe. Didn't want to hear anything about what I was going to say about, the baby needle and all of that. So I'm looking away at my husband, and then all of a sudden I hear screaming, and I realized that that's me screaming because this person had like jammed something into the top of my hand that I don't even know because I wasn't watching, but my husband told me that it had like two prongs on it, and then she jabbed the needle, or he, whoever it was, a big person, then jammed apparently the needle in after I had screamed the first time, which then caused me to scream out loud in horrible pain and shock in the pre-op area. And I really don't remember a whole lot after that, other than I remember somebody coming in, a man going behind me on the gurney, telling my husband he can leave, and then a mask came from behind me and knocked me out. That's what I remember. And that makes sense because the last time that I saw the surgeon that I will see this week, she told me that when I got to the OR that she was trying to soothe me and that I was hyperventilating. So all of this was unknown to me, and from the time that I heard screaming, which I realized was me twice, and then waking up in the post-op area with nurses buzzing around, me trying to get the IV out. My hand was swollen up like 15 bee stings. Of course, if anybody's had surgery, you know that you're very groggy coming out of all of that. But my arm and hand was, I couldn't use it for a good 3-week part of the recovery time because the lymph node dissection had been done on the right side, so the IV had to be done on the left side. My right side after surgery was not usable because of the healing with, a big half moon gash underneath of my armpit. So then now my left hand was bruised from here to here, massively bruised all the way around. It was shocking, really, really shocking. And there just really wasn't any concern about it. Really, nobody reported it on my behalf as a patient. When I, finally was in a state of recovery to where I could understand what had happened, and I remembered what had happened in the pre-op area, I got really mad and upset and concerned about what had happened and why it had happened and who had hurt me. Like, that was the main thing. Why did this person come in, not have any dialogue with me, and then hurt me to the point where I screamed in the pre-op area twice? That is not normal. I've had surgeries. I've had procedures starting even before I was age 18 with an undiagnosed femoral hernia. So massive pain with procedures where women's, pain management is not taken into account and is dismissed, quite frankly. One of the things that I have is a discharge paper from a military hospital, and that's a whole nother angle in all of this, is that I grew up in a military family. So in a military family, you just go on base and go to the doctor, and whoever's there is there, and they see you and they treat you, and then you typically are gone, or that person's gone, because everybody's rotating tours of duty stateside. So, and even in Germany, because when the femoral hernia was finally diagnosed and repaired, I was a college student in the dorm. I was taken by ambulance from my dorm in Munich to Augsburg, where the hernia was finally diagnosed and repaired by a military doctor. And it was a rare kind of incidence for a woman to have that's why I had been through coldocentesis, laparoscopies, exploratory surgeries, accused of drug seeking, accused of, well, I was discharged with paperwork saying that it was psychosomatic. So instead of them taking my pain seriously and listening to what I was telling them, that was consistent with each time that I had one of these flare-ups. No, no, I was dismissed, minimized, and told that it was psychosomatic, all in my head. So coming from that kind of a background with the medical community, and also having 4 surgeries because of mastoid issues, earaches as a kid, untreated. Also, and I'll put in a disclaimer here for anybody who might get upset by mention of domestic violence. I would say that growing up in an abusive family, my father pulled on our ears. So I know he pulled on my ears, and I saw him pull on my siblings' ears as a form of punishment, as a form of control. I ended up with mastoid issues. So again, my history with being able to compare what should take place in a medical facility and what took place with the second surgery that I had, completely out of what should have happened in a medical facility. So what I can say is I tried to get that person's identifying information so that I could place a formal complaint, not only for myself, but for the next person behind me, that this person thinks that they can just abuse, injure, and then go along their merry way. No. So then I reached out to, well, my doctor, of course, the surgeon, and she, was the one who told me then that she was trying to soothe me and that I was hypervigilating when I got to the OR. So I had already been knocked out then in the pre-op area after they told my husband to leave. So then the surgeon didn't do anything on my behalf. I made a complaint with patient relations, and I asked for the identifying information for this person. Patient relations was obtuse, denied me the information that I was requesting, and had some doctor call me. I guess it was after a series of emails between myself and patient relations. I got a phone call one evening, maybe 3 days after I'd made the complaint, from a man identifying himself as he did and asked me, to tell him what had happened. So I did. And so this doctor, I realized that I could hear like the sounds of an automobile being driven, or cars or traffic, that kind of beeping, seatbelt, starting it up, whatever. And I asked him, I was like, excuse me, doctor, are you driving your vehicle right now while you're talking to me? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, that is like, don't call me from your car ever again. Like, you call me from your office during business hours. This is not like something that is just going to go away. This is a serious thing. I'm injured and I can't function because I can't use one arm and my other arm's injured. So he didn't care. He blew it off. So I reached out again to patient relations and related what that doctor had done, calling me from his car. So then I had a post-op appointment scheduled with the surgeon. At this point, I'd been assigned a cancer care counselor. That's like a not-for-profit. And I talked to this person maybe 3 times on the phone. So I had told her what had happened and that I had this appointment that I was going to. It was a scheduled appointment for me and her on the 3-hour round trip up there. So she said, yes, go to patient relations, since you've, been in touch with them by email, and show them the pictures that you have, and, ask them for the information. Completely reasonable, what any normal person would do. I said, thank you. And so I did that. So my husband and I went to the lobby of the hospital because I was there for my scheduled appointment with the surgeon, and I had just been on a scheduled appointment with the therapist, the cancer care connection. That's what it was, cancer care connection therapist. So at any rate, we go into the lobby. They ask, to check in. So we tell them why we're there. They call over to patient relations, the reception area in the lobby, and patient relations apparently told them, to tell us to have a seat and they'd meet us in the lobby. So we think, fine, we have time because we leave with enough time to where we're not late in case there's a traffic issue on our hour-and-a-half drive there one way. So we sit in the lobby, my husband and I, and I'm hypervigilant by nature based upon past experiences. And I noticed that a security guard went up to the reception area. And I told my husband, I said, wonder what the security guard's about. And then I saw another, man kind of like shuffle in from another area and team up with the security guard. And I was like, all right, well, here they come. So here they come, Mr. Security Guard, with an armed security guard, walked over to us and told us to leave, that we would not be speaking with patient relations and to leave immediately. So we did. And I told the person that was not the armed guard who was leaning into me, I'm 5'4", 130 pounds. I'm not a threat. I just had 2 cancer surgeries at that facility. So I told that person, I just need the name so that I can make a formal complaint because this is not going to go away. He says, well, you'll need to take that up with patient relations by email. We won't be releasing any information to you. It's like, okay. And then we headed on out and, like normal civilized people, we'll take it up in other avenues, other channels. And so we headed out. Headed over to my surgeon's office, sat there and waited for, 40 minutes while, all of that goes on behind the scenes. And then I told her, what had happened, and she was shocked. Absolutely shocked. Her face, her eyes got so big. And she told me, she said, I've never heard of anything like that happening to any patient. And I said, well, what are you going to do on my behalf? I mean, I need the name of the person who injured me. Apparently, it's a contracted employee. So now I learned that anesthesiology departments are hiring contracted employees who are not employees of the hospital. And the head of anesthesiology is affiliated with the contracted company. So connect those dots. So my surgeon never, to this day, has followed up with me about the injury that she knew that I got in the pre-op area when she was my surgeon, and told me that she was trying to soothe me before operating on me because I was hyperventilating. It's all shocking to me and angering. I feel really angry. It's very hard to deal with these people, these medical workers. I don't care if you're a doctor, a med tech, MRI tech, check-in reception. I don't care who it is. It's like a blanket policy for me that I'm on high alert the whole time because I don't trust the community. They've made me not trust them. So where was I? The doctor called me from his car. I went there before seeing the surgeon. This was months ago now, y'all. Months. So this happened in June when I got injured. June 21st from memory. Yeah, June 21st. And I started on it right away. I placed a formal complaint with the Department of Facilities, DHS, sent it out with the photos. The government shut down. So then I'm trying to follow up. I get an email from them. Oh, we won't be sending out any investigators during the government shutdown. So I say, okay, well, it is what it is. We're all governed by the government. And so are these agencies who work for the people on behalf of the government, or however that works. I'm sorry. It's all very disturbing and frustrating and angering. So nothing was happening. I reach out to them again after the government opened up. All during this time, my surgeon has done nothing. Her office has done nothing to mitigate my concerns, to find out for me the information that I've requested, not only from the hospital, patient relations, the anesthesiology department, and my own surgeon. Nobody has stepped up. So, and even the Cancer Care Connection, she went away. It's like maybe there was something said behind the scenes between these people, because they're all interconnected in the cancer community for your cancer journey. Like, what? No, it's a diagnosis. It's not a journey. It's a diagnosis, just like a mastoid issue or a femoral hernia. I didn't have a femoral hernia journey, although it took me 5.5 years to get it diagnosed and repaired. And by then they didn't invite me back to college. So there you have that. So I wasn't, okay, so I'm not even going to go off on that tangent. Anyway, so I've had a rich history of medical concerns. So now I'm up against this injury that happened in a medical facility in Delaware at a cancer center, huge cancer center. The Cancer Care Connection therapist went south, didn't ever hear from her again. And then I have to see the surgeon. So then I went to the post-op appointment, because I was having these lymphedema, which is massive swelling because the lymph nodes are gone. So your lymphatic juices aren't flowing. Mine are not flowing. So things get trapped and then swelling, and it feels like bungee cords around my trunk of my body, and it's extremely uncomfortable. And then I walk around in pain 24/7, and then I get like this, like angry, because pain management was denied. I was denied pain management. I was told I'll be fine with Advil, Tylenol, and 10 gabapentins. And that's what I got for both of those surgeries: major double mastectomy, and then 3 months later, a lymph node dissection. So then I went back for the lymph node dissection because of the lymphedema, and saw the physician's assistant. Now, I had seen this person one time before when one of the drains was removed. And this person had played a little joke on me, kind of like, because I don't know why, but I'll just say what happened. Like with these surgeries, I had to have drains that had to stay in post-surgical, and I had to maintain the drains and take measurements. And then when the measurements were at below a level for a certain amount of time, I could schedule the 3-hour drive to go and have them removed. So I took all the measurements, everything was fine. I waited until both drains were ready to be removed, because it is a 3-hour round trip drive. We drive up there, only one of them's ready to come out, according to the person who was the intake nurse, not the PA, who was actually critical of, well, what is this on a sheet that my husband and I had kept all the measurements on, because nothing was provided to us. There's no in-house sheet that was given to us to take the measurements and mark it exactly as she apparently expected to see it. I said, those are the measurements. We weren't given any sheet to record those. And then she scrambles away to the back room, and then she decides that only one of my drains are ready to come out now, even though the measurements show that they were below the amount for the entire time. We're not going to argue with her. We're going to be trusting of the medical community. The drain's not ready to come out. Only one is. Fine, let's get this one out. So she took it out. Then I have to come back for this next drain to come out for the double mastectomy. So this physician's assistant, I don't watch these things. I don't want to know. I just am not interested in watching. So I'm this way, and there's my husband's in the room because I have him with me. There's chatting between the PA and the other person that's in the room. My husband's quiet, I'm quiet, and then there's silence. And nobody's moving, and I've got my eyes closed and I'm not looking, and I'm like, so is everything okay? Because things usually just kind of go south. And she goes, oh, well, it's already out. I was waiting for your pain response. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, well, that's good because I didn't even feel it. Like, excellent, outstanding. And then, that was that. And we scurried out of there for the hour-and-a-half drive back home, which we've learned now to add a little reward of some sort, which includes Trader Joe's, a stop by Trader Joe's, a stop by Chick-fil-A to get a milkshake, something like that, to take the edge off. But then after the June surgery, I needed to go back up there because of the lymphedema, and I was supposed to have also a 6-month check on this post-surgical lymph node dissection. So that was in June of 2025. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So this appointment that I have with the surgeon is actually my 6-month lymph node dissection appointment. But because of the lymphedema, I scheduled an appointment apparently at a 3-month mark. And I didn't get the appointment with the surgeon. They scheduled me for the PA, the one that had removed the second drain, but didn't tell me that it was done. Just sat there waiting for me to have some kind of a pain response to no pain or something. That's how I took it. So she comes in. We talk a little bit about, the lymphedema. I'm in a gown. I'm on the table. She's sitting on the chair, and my husband's in the room. And so we talk a little bit about, the scars, the lymphedema, being seen by the PT ladies twice a week, trying to get the machine. I think at that point it had been discussed, but I hadn't gotten the machine yet. So I talked about being, in a military family, and so I'm, because she said, oh, Dr. Staradub couldn't see you, so I'll see you. And I'm like, I grew up in a military family too. And my parents were smart enough to get me out of that system and get me a private doctor. And I was like, wow, okay. I guess my parents were really stupid. And I was like, yeah. Your parents were smart because, yeah, I went through it with military doctors and being moved all around. And she said, oh, no, we didn't move all around. We were only in 2 areas. And I said, gosh, we moved like every, 2 years until we lived in one place for 3 years. And then it was always moving. No continuity of doctors or healthcare. So she was condescending, and I was on the table, and then she wanted to see the lymphedema, and she, affirmed that I do have lymphedema, and then she did a test on the underside of this to, see the measurements and test my strength, and then she came up on this side, and she jammed 3 fingers up into my armpit, without telling me what she was doing, without warning, without any precedent whatsoever. Brought me straight up off the table. I was 3 months post-surgical when she did that. So I made sure to read the clinical notes for her. I told her, I said, I don't know why you did that. Like, was there a reason? Well, the PT ladies should be doing that, and you're just too sensitive, and you need to build up your you need to be desensitized. That's what she said. You need to have desensitizing training. I'm like, holy cow, like this person is a psychopath. So I told her that I have been going 2 times weekly for PT. I am desensitized. I do hot treatments. I do blue emu. I do bio oil. I do a water spray, saline. I've been told that I have healed well by virtue of doing it myself. Going on, I was referred to YouTube, so I went on YouTube, and now I'm on YouTube to find out how to care for myself. So I started thinking about that. I'm like, you know what? If these doctors are going to tell me to go onto YouTube, guess what? I'm going on to YouTube. So here I am. And I responded to her clinical notes. I actually sent an email through the portal, and I said, I'm making a clarification to the notes. And I did. And I also put in there that I don't want to be seen by that person again. And that's my right. I didn't appreciate being treated that way and also being put off. I had taken the note about the government shutdown to keep my doctor in communication about what was happening with my complaint. And that physician's assistant was not interested in taking that piece of paper, wanted no parts of it, didn't want to hear about it, nothing. So zero follow-up care for patient reporting an injury, doctors seeing an injury, patient relations being provided with photography of the injury as it healed over a 3-week period. It was a nightmare, and I'm still angry about that, and I'm not done, because once I found out that the government shutdown was back up, then I called that agency and said, so what can I expect? Oh, well, Medicaid and Medicare, this and that. And I'm like, no, this is private insurance. And they're like, oh, you need to call this number. So patient relations gave me bad information. And so then I got directed to the Joint Commission. So then I called over to the Joint Commission, and the lady there, when I told her what had happened, she's like, you need to make this complaint. So then I got the email address or the website information for that. And this appointment this week will then allow me to have the final, what I believe to be the final oncology surgeon, breast surgeon appointment at this healthcare facility, because I've been cleared by the oncologist last week. He said, oh, do you want your copay refunded? Because you didn't really need to be at this appointment. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But that physician's assistant that I saw, my surgeon's physician assistant, she berated me that I had to see an oncologist, even though I told her I already saw an oncologist at the local healthcare 30 minutes down the road. Oh, well, you're not following the algorithm. I'm thinking, oh boy, well, I don't want to be a non-compliant patient or have it marked down in my file that I'm not following the algorithm. So I made the appointment with the oncologist at that healthcare facility, that cancer center. And that was the one that was last week. So I will see the breast surgeon this week. I will also see a neurosurgeon, because I began using the machine for the lymphedema, and for some reason they had assigned me a trunk part of it too. So I was wearing this trunk part, this torso part, and this arm sleeve part. And I somehow managed to, before Thanksgiving, get a herniated disc. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I began getting lower back pain that progressively got worse, that ended me up in the ER in the first part of December. And then that got me sent over for MRI, and then now I have a herniated disc. So I haven't been able to use the lymphedema machine in anticipation of seeing the neurosurgeon. So that's this week. And then, because I had been seeking mental health therapy all through this after the therapist I was seeing had retired, during right after my mom's probate matter. So that would have been like 2020. So then I got the cancer diagnosis after self-reporting in 2024. And then in 2025, I had the surgeries, and now here we are in 2026. So there's the quick recap. With a little bit of background too, because military upbringing changes the whole scenario too, because you don't have that continuity of care. And that's what I felt like during this whole process, is no continuity of care, being bounced around by healthcare systems, being blacklisted, ghosted by practices within the healthcare system, all while just trying to seek breast cancer care as uninsured patient with health insurance that I didn't always have. I didn't always have health insurance, so I know what it's like to not have health insurance and have to self-pay or go without. And so I don't feel like I should be treated special, but I should be treated and not mistreated. And that's how I have been mistreated along the way. And I'm mad about it. So all along I was trying to seek a therapist. I went to that one therapist, and that was a whole thing turned into a human rights hearing, which I talked about that in the video where the camera, my little microphone, was hooked to my computer. And so we're going to try that again, and I'll tell you all about that. It was a human rights hearing. Anyways, so I'm going to go for this appointment. I'm hoping that it's the last appointment. I'm going to file that complaint with the Joint Commission once that appointment is over, so that then I have a finality to this is what happened and this was the outcome. And I also watched a YouTube mom yesterday. She's a mom. She's been on YouTube for a while. She's sharing about her colorectal cancer and that she's just changed healthcare systems. So I don't think I'm unique in all of this. I don't think that I'm some anomaly. I believe that the bad healthcare is happening to many, many people who are just seeking healthcare for known diagnoses, not something that they need to diagnose or it's something they can't figure out. These are for known things. So I would shout out to my primary care, who has risen above and beyond the call of duty. He is somebody that stepped in after I was in the ER. His office called me. They scheduled a time for me to come in. He prescribed appropriate pain management for me to get me through December and January until I could see the neurosurgeon this week. I would be bedridden, I think, and far worse off for my mental health without my primary care doctor. So shout out to him and his staff, and a gratitude list. I'm grateful that I feel well enough to advocate for myself and that I have still in me the fire to get mad, because that is a motivating factor for me, is getting mad. In the dysfunctional household that I grew up in, we weren't supposed to get mad or sad. God forbid there were tears, because you were going to get the belt again or an ear yank. So yeah, what I learned was to rage inside, and now I don't have to do that. So the other appointment that I have this week is finally with a mental health therapist, an actual PhD, who I'm very much looking forward to seeing. And I will be providing this card so that they can catch up if they want to on their own time or not. I don't care. What I care about is that I suit up, I show up, I tell the truth, I ask for what I need, I don't take up more than my fair share, and I expect to be treated with respect as a patient in return. And when I'm not, and when I'm abused by patient relations, when the surgeon doesn't take up for me or answer or follow up for the questions or the licensure number, I'm not asking for somebody's name and address and telephone number. I'm asking for their license number so they can be reported for something that actually happened and that I photographed and have proof of. So I'm still on a mission. I don't want to be on a mission, because I want to be able to enjoy this, new next plateau, this new launching off place. I'm going to come up on 40 minutes here on this, and I'm shutting it down. So I'll be busy this week. I'm going to make a couple of more videos now that I'm feeling that bit of like fire, just to make sure that I articulate how I was ghosted at a practice, how I was marked as a no-show at a practice. These are things that patients don't deserve when they're on their cancer journey. They just deserve to be seen, given appropriate information, referred to the next person if it's that time, not in between times when there's no reason to be seen. Like, come on, people, get a grip, the medical community. So anyways, I'm going to sign off on thank you for coming and listening to me talk about the challenges that I've experienced in the medical community while seeking care for a very common breast cancer. I'm no special case here. I self-reported. I was put off for 6 months by the radiologist. And then I had a horrible experience almost at every turn along the way. And I don't appreciate it. So I'm going to speak out about it. Time for truth. Stop in again. I'll be posting more soon. Have a great day.